Now, it starts off with their origin stories. Now, before you start to roll your eyes and say, why do we got to get into this? You heard it once, you heard it 1,000 times. I know, especially with these two. Hell, Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, you don't have to be a comic book fan to know their origin story. But I like how they do it in this comic. They pretty much take it from their perspective. Superman's describing how his parents put him in a rocket, shot him into space, their only child, because it was better than being on this dying planet, but they didn't necessarily know what was going to happen. They just hoped that he would make it to Earth and that somebody would care for him. At the same breath, you have Batman describing how his parents just took him to go see the Mask of Zorro. They turned down the alley, and we know what happened with Joe Chill. Now, I like it because Superman pretty much said when the kids found him, that's where his childhood began. And Batman's pretty much saying once his parents got shot, that's where his childhood ended. I thought that was like pretty cool contrast that they did. So then it cuts straight to something going down in Star Lab. Superman shows up and then he gets knocked out of him. And how do we know he got knocked out of him? Because he says, I actually felt that. And there's only a few people that can hit me that hard. And as soon as I read that, I just thought back when DC versus Marvel and Superman fought the Hulk. The Hulk hit him, and the first thing Superman said was, he hit me as hard as Doomsday. After that, Superman wasn't playing no games whatsoever. He bust out the heat vision. He wasn't playing around because in his mind, he probably felt like this dude can kill me, so I ain't playing no games. So you gotta be pretty strong to get Superman's attention. And we find out that it's Metallo. So now Metallo's strong, but he's still no match for Superman. And obviously Superman starts to turn the tide, and Metallo realizes he has to cheat. So that's when he opens up his chest plate to show his kryptonite heart and weaken Superman. And he could have pretty much started beating the hell out of him, but he didn't. He pretty much said that I'm not here to fight. I just came to get what was mine. And he rolled out. Like I said, he could have skull drugged Superman, but he didn't. Doctors all helping him up and wondering what the hell was going on and what he was looking for. And Doctor's like, I don't know. So then it cuts to Batman, and he's at a crime scene and he's kind of combing through it, and he's like, I love it when it's like this, when I'm here before the cops and they don't trample over all the evidence. I can find out exactly what happened. And all of a sudden he just looks up and he goes, I hate when you do that. And Superman goes, I know, but I thought it'd be faster to just fly. And Batman's like, faster than a phone call? He was like, yeah. And Batman goes, you know what, we're gonna have to test that theory one day. I love the commentary between these two. So Superman starts to give Batman the lowdown, how he had a run-in with Metallo, how Metallo used to be a man before he became an android, how he's from Gotham City and his body's actually buried at the cemetery that happened to be at that moment. And Batman goes, hold on, time out, I thought I was a detective. And Superman laughs and goes, well, I'm a investigative journalist. And again, I just love the commentary between these two. And then obviously right on cue, Metallo shows up out of nowhere. Him and Superman start to fight. Superman starts to get the best of Metallo. Again, Metallo sees he has to cheat. He transforms his hand into a gun and shoots a shard of kryptonite at Superman. And obviously it goes through him and he falls into one of the cemetery holes. So Batman immediately says to himself, I should not be fighting this dude, but what else can I do right now? And he does like a flip and he puts these two things on Metallo. Metallo goes, well, what is this? And obviously they're bat bombs and they explode. Batman goes straight down to the hole and he tries to start performing surgery to try to get the bullet out of Superman. And obviously Superman has a healing factor and he's trying to hurry up before the wound heals over. Comes it heals over, he's not gonna be able to get the bullet out. And Superman's joking like, should we call the Flash? And Batman's like, do you really need a sense of humor right now? And Superman's like, well, maybe you should buy one. Again, love the commentary. And then out of nowhere, right before Batman thinks he can get the bullet out, all this dirt falls on him and you see Metallo transform his arm into like a steam shovel and cover him up. So you think the comic book is over, but then they cut to President Luthor. Yes, Lex Luthor is president in this comic book series. And they show how the satellites have picked up this huge meteorite that's made of kryptonite that is headed towards Earth, and it's the size of Brazil. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? And they're like, should we tell Superman about it? And Luthor's like, nah, he always saves us. This time we're going to save him. And then they cut to where you see some shadowy figures. You can't really make them out, even though one seems like he has a Green Lantern ring. But the two people you can make out is Captain Atom and Major Force. So the comic starts off with a pretty cool story from Superman. He's explaining how he first came across kryptonite. He was with a friend, they were out camping, and they went to a cave, and something happened to where they fell down this hole, and he noticed these glowing green rocks. He didn't know exactly what they were, but all he noticed they were making him sick. And his friend was saying, well, let me try to climb out and go get help. But Superman knew at that time that if his friend left, he would pass out and he probably wouldn't make it. So he convinced his friend that they have to work together to try to get out the cave. They have some rope and they use the rope to get themselves out. Well, so while Superman's thinking about that, Batman's thinking to himself, how the hell they're going to get out of this situation? If they try to dig themselves out, Metallo might be waiting up there for him and probably finish them off. So there's only one way to get themselves out of it, and that's to go down to the sewer. But the only way to do that is for Batman to set off another bat bomb. But he has a weakened Superman, and he's like, I'm gonna need you to be the Man of Steel. And he puts the bomb underneath Superman and he sets it off, and it works. They fall down into the sewer. Even though Superman is weakened by the kryptonite, he was still able to withstand the blast, and he kind of gets up and he's somewhat all right, while Batman's kind of worse from wear. So now it's Batman the one that needs to be rescued. He's pretty much drowning in the sewer water, which is nasty. And Superman gets him out, and Batman goes, I thought I was supposed to be the one rescuing you. This kryptonite bullet's still in Superman, and he goes, well, you still got time. So they're both stumbling through the sewer, and Superman's making conversation. He's inquiring about a villain that they used to fight, and Batman goes, oh yeah, she passed away. And then Superman goes, why is it always the good villains who pass away? And then Batman goes, what the hell is a good villain? Their commentary is fantastic. So they finally get to this iron fence that's in the sewer, and Batman goes, you gonna be okay with this? Superman goes, I'm gonna have to be. And he takes it off because it's electrified, and it's the entrance to the Batcave. And who's waiting on him? Because obviously he didn't get a phone call. It's Alfred with a shotgun. So then we cut to the huge kryptonite asteroid that's still on a collision course with Earth, and all of a sudden you see this boom tube open up and these nuclear missiles come out of nowhere. And Captain Adam's like, Mr. President, can I speak freely? And Luthor's like, go ahead. And he's like, boom tube technology is illegal. And Luthor's like, yeah, I understand that, but we have an asteroid that could pretty much hit the planet and end life on Earth. As long as the American people know that I did what I needed to do to take care of this asteroid, I don't think they're really going to care about the illegal technology. But unfortunately, the missiles hit and the asteroid doesn't even have a dent in it. It just keeps on pushing. So I don't know exactly how they got the kryptonite bullet out. Maybe they use a kryptonite scalpel because that wound should have been healed over. But they get the bullet out, and not only did Alfred get the bullet out, but he also was able to wash Superman's uniform and get all the sewage out of it all at the same time because he's Alfred. So then Superman is walking up to Batman, and then Batman just turns around and starts screaming at Superman like he's Brandon Marshall on the episode that broke up the original cast of I Am Athlete.
Y'all don't even know what the y'all talking about, because y'all talking about the NBA. Everybody got guaranteed contracts, and it's false. They do. Searching this, and I'm telling you, it's the truth.
So Batman's like, it took Oracle less than 5 minutes to break through Starlat's firewall. It took her 2 minutes to download the encrypted file on Corbin, who is Metallo. And it took her half of that time to break the code to figure out that Metallo was an active criminal back when his parents got shot, and he actually used that caliber of gun that killed his parents. Now, for those of you who don't know who Oracle is, that is Barbara Gordon. Now, yes, Barbara Gordon is Batgirl, but at this time, she is Oracle because she's in a wheelchair because the Joker shot her in the Killing Joke. Don't worry, we'll definitely cover that. Before I go any further, can I just put some things in perspective? Batman is yelling at the top of his lungs at the most powerful person in comics, not just on Earth, not just in DC's universe, Marvel's universe, all the indie comics you could think of. I mean, as long as there's a yellow sun, Superman is the most powerful person there, period, point blank. And he can move as fast as the Flash. Before Batman even utters another word, Superman can pretty much turn his neck 180 degrees, and the last thing Batman will see before death sets in is his own ass, which Superman can tell him to kiss. Now, what Batman is saying is not wrong. I actually agree with Batman, but how he's saying it and who he's saying it to, I mean, look at it. He's point his finger in Superman's face. He can lose that finger in so many horrifying ways that it's not funny. So then all of a sudden a boom tube, I'll say it again, a boom tube goes off in the Batcave, and all of a sudden you see a Superman that looks like Reed Richards with the gray in his hair. So he goes, it worked. I got enough time to kill you both. I mean, his eyes turn red and he just goes right at Batman and Superman. So Superman starts fighting this dude, and he's just, Superman's getting his butt whipped. I mean, he's hitting dude, but dude's hitting him harder. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And Batman's like, I'm pretty sure you're fighting yourself. And Superman even suspected that he was fighting himself. And older Superman is pretty much winning this fight. So Batman goes to go get some kryptonite from his vault, and old Superman like beats him to the punch and is like, you will never change. And he grabs his utility belt and he's saying how many times Batman pretty much got in his ass using his little tricks. He's saying you ain't using them no more, and he throws Batman into the classic Bat car from like the 1960s. I mean, as soon as I saw that, it just popped in my head and I was like, man, Adam West. So old Superman's about to crush Batman with the classic Bat car. The younger Superman is pretty much like, I can't beat this guy, so I need to do something. So he sees Alfred's shotgun and he sees Kryptonite bullet. He loads up the bullet into the shotgun and he says, my father always said, you gotta use the right tool for the right job. And he shoots it at old Superman, but before the bullet hits, old Superman disappears and the Superman has to hurry up and swoop up Batman before the car falls on him. So then it cuts to Lex Luthor, who's about to address the nation, and Captain Atom is trying to like talk some sense into him before he does this. And Lex Luthor is pretty much like, look, you need to get in line before something bad happens. And so he's addressing the nation. He's explaining how there is an asteroid on the collision course with Earth and how it came from Krypton. And he's pretty much blaming Superman for the asteroid that's coming to Earth, which makes no ungodly sense. And he pretty much put a bounty on Superman's head, whoever can bring in Superman and bring him to the White House. So Batman's like, so what do you think he wants? And Superman's like, I think he wants a last showdown. And then Batman's like, so we gonna give it to him? And all of a sudden, all you see is Superman's eyes glow red, and he's like, I love to. So Lex Luthor, the president of the United States in this series, issued $1 billion bounty on Superman's head to bring him in dead or alive. And Superman is headed to DC to confront Lex Luthor. Batman obviously is in a bad jet. Superman's doing the Superman thing. Batman wants to check the comm leaks, and Superman's actually getting a little irritated. He's like, look, it works. It worked in Gotham City. It worked. He was trying to save Pennsylvania when a sonic blast hits him out of the sky. So at the same time, we also see Lois Lane is actually giving an interview to President Luthor. So on the next page, we see that the sonic blast actually came from Silver Banshee, and she hits Batman with it and knocks him out the sky. So then we turn to the next page and we see that Banshee is kind of giving the business to Superman. I mean, she's pretty much giving him all he wants. Now we also see that Batman had to crash land the plane, but obviously he's okay because he's Batman. And we also see that Lois Lane is confronting Lex Luthor about the kryptonite asteroid that's headed to the planet and why he blames Superman for it. I mean, you don't even have to be a comic book reader to know that the one thing that can hurt Superman is kryptonite. Now, if you are a comic book reader, you also know that he doesn't do well with magic either, but that's besides the point. Why would he send something to destroy the planet that can also destroy him too. So on the next page, we see that Superman is done playing with Silver Banshee and pretty much grabs her and is taking her up into the atmosphere. So while Superman is doing that, Batman's on the ground dealing with the sub-temperature villains. I said villains with an S, like all of them, not just Mr. Freeze, but Captain Cold and Killer Frost. And he goes to Superman and he's like, hey, I need you to bring the heat. So Superman has Banshee. Obviously, she's knocked out because they're high up in the atmosphere. Superman's like, all right, I need you to step to your left about 3 feet. And Batman's being encased in ice. He just yells, now. And all of a sudden, all you see is all this heat vision comes down and spurts, and he hits all the cold villains. It was a pretty funny scene. So Superman comes down and goes to Batman. It's like, are you okay? The first thing out of Batman's mouth is, the jet was new, so I'm kind of annoyed about that. And Superman goes, well, I guess we'll just add that to the list of things to talk to President Luthor about. And Superman's like, what are we going to do about Banshee? And Batman puts a device on her throat and goes, if she tries to use a sonic scream, it'll deflect back at her. So then we see these 2 shadowy figures in the background, and they're huge. And then we turn the page and Superman gets hit with a heat beam. We see it's Mongul, and then the other shadowy figure is Solomon Grundy, and he jumps on Batman quick and takes off his utility belt. So Mongul's giving the business to Superman, which is nothing new. I mean, Mongul's a beast.
Certified. Put a stamp on him.
But typically when Mongul is fighting you, he's normally talking to you as he beats you down, and this time Mongul ain't saying a word. So it's the exact opposite with Solomon Grundy. Typically he doesn't say much. That's the poem that's about him, you know, born on a Monday, dead on a Tuesday. I really don't know how it goes. Now he just can't shut up. Like, he's just talking all kind of shit to Batman, like, I can't believe I lose to you all the time, you're just a frail human. And then he's dunked his head in the water and he was like, see, I'm just going to hold you here until you stop breathing. So Superman pretty much catches Mongul's fist, and he's pretty much done playing with him now. He got beat up enough. And Batman looks like he's dead. Solomon Grundy takes him and he just can't help himself. He goes, I wonder what you look like underneath this cowl. Obviously, we all know Batman has contingency plans, and as soon as he goes to lift it, this smoke comes out of it. So as soon as the smoke hits Solomon Grundy, his speech pattern changes and it starts to slow down, and Batman picks up on it, and then he starts just putting it on Solomon Grundy. I mean, just beats him down. But then he gets kicked in the back of the leg, and then we see is Lady Sheba. Now, for those who don't know, Lady Sheba is considered pound for pound best fighter in the world. She's like a female Floyd Mayweather. But while that's going on, we see Superman just giving the business to Mongul now. I mean, he headbutts him, so like he smacked him, and then he just gave him an uppercut because he's just tired of Luthor's games. So it switches back to Lady Sheba and Batman, and Lady Sheba obviously is giving Batman the business because, like we said before, Lady Sheba's a beast.
Certified. Put a stamp on him.
And Batman, while he's fighting her, he's thinking to himself, like, I always wondered who would win in a straight up fight between me and Lady Sheba. But he also thinks back when Lady Sheba beat the brakes off Selena Kyle. I mean, beat the hell out of her. And then Batman's demeanor just changes, and he stops one of the Lady Sheba's punches, and he looks at her and goes, it's over, Sheba, and knocks the hell out of her. So Batman's checking out Lady Sheba, and he's thinking to himself, Mongul, Solomon Grundy, and Sheba aren't money hungry. They're not motivated by money, so why are they coming after him? And as soon as Superman gets to Batman, he gets grabbed by this huge shadowy hand, and it's Nightshade. And her power is actually starting to drain the powers of Superman. So Batman switches his cowl to night vision because he knows somebody is mind controlling these villains, and he's trying to look for them in the dark. And Superman goes, look up. And Batman looks up and he sees this Gorilla Grodd. And Batman's like, how'd you know? Superman goes, I thought the same thing. Somebody's mind controlling these villains, and using my super hearing, a gorilla's heartbeat is unique. And Batman's like, you cease to amaze me. And he throws up a batarang that has a rope around it, and he throws it to Superman, and he's like, pull. And Superman's like, well, get this girl off me. And Batman takes a batarang, hits her and knocks her out. Superman pulls down Gorilla Grodd and knocks him out with a one punch. So then Superman goes to Batman and he's like, you know we're surrounded, right? And Batman's like, we can take him. And Superman's like, you always think we could take him. And Batman goes, yes, I do. And Superman's like, well, let's do it. And then you turn the page and you see it's all of the DC villains. I mean, Giganta's there, Black Manta, King Shark, Brimstone, Solomon Grundy, Captain Cold. They're all there. And they start to fight him. And then all of a sudden, you see like a heart-like construct come out of nowhere. You see a blue fist come out of nowhere. You see fire kind of rain down. And then you turn the page, and it's Captain Atom with Green Lantern, John Stewart, Black Lightning, Katana, Starfire, Major Force, Power Girl with the boob window. And Superman goes, I want to thank you, Captain. And Captain Atom goes, it is not a rescue. We're here to take you in. So obviously our heroes didn't come this far just to be stopped now, so they get to fighting. Superman is dealing with Starfire. Batman is dealing with both Black Lightning and Major Force, just like the song goes, at the same damn time. So Superman doesn't really want to deal with all these guys right now, so he starts flying in circles really fast and he creates this huge tornado. And Batman's like, I hate when he does this, but I understand why he does it, because he's from Kansas, Tornado Alley. So Superman grabs Power Girl and flies off, and then Batman has Katana, and then he disappears. And then Major Force is beefing with Captain Atom, because Major Force is like, we shouldn't even been talking to him, we should have just killed him. And Captain Atom's like, I'm in charge of this, you don't tell me what to do. So then we cut to the White House, and President Luthor is talking to Amanda Waller. He starts taking off his shirt, and he grabs this like injection thing, and he injects himself with kryptonite. And Amanda Waller's like, are you supposed to be doing that? And Lex Luthor is like, I'm the president, I could do what I want. And then he walks over, and then he starts to kiss her. And there's so many things I want to say right now, but I can't, because they'll probably all get me canceled. So we're just going to keep it pushing. So then it cuts to Japan, and we see Batman and Katana get out of a boom tube, and Superman and Power Girl come flying down. We'll come to find out that Power Girl and Katana have been working with Batman and Superman the whole time. So it doesn't take long for the others to catch up. Most of these guys are used to traveling in space, so getting to the other side of the world is nothing to them. And Captain Atom tells Power Girl and Katana to stand aside and nothing will happen to them. So of course they're having none of that, and Power Girl knocks the hell out of Captain Atom. Major Force hits Power Girl with an energy blast, and then Katana comes out of nowhere and cuts his hand off, which probably wasn't the greatest idea, because Major Force and Captain Atom are pretty much walking, talking nuclear reactors. So the others are still trying to fight Superman and Batman, and Superman's like, look, we got a new problem. We need to figure out how to contain Major Force before he blows up all of Tokyo. And Batman knows that the only person that can really help the situation is Captain Atom. So he goes to Captain Atom, and he's like, look, I know you're supposed to bring us in, I know you're a soldier, I know nothing supersedes orders, but are you going to let all of Tokyo explode just because you want to bring us in? So Batman convinces Captain Atom to help. So Green Lantern, Black Lightning, and Starfire are doing their best to try to contain Major Force. Captain Atom shows up, and Superman goes to him, and he's like, I can help. And Captain Atom's like, no, I'm the only one that can go in there and deal with this. Let me do it. And Superman looks sad, because I think he knows that this is pretty much going to be a death sentence for Captain Atom. Captain Atom goes into the energy bubble, and he absorbs all of the energy that Major Force was putting out, but it's too much energy. There's a big boom, and all you see is the suit of Captain Atom come flying down. So then it cuts to the Justice Society of America, and we see Mr. Terrific talking to Shazam and Hawkman, and telling them, you're pretty much the only two that can bring these two in. And they're like, understood. Then it cuts to Superman, Power Girl, Katana, and Batman, and they're walking into the snow, and they're headed up a mountain in Tokyo. And they're like, why can't we fly? And Batman's like, you don't want to be on this dude's radar. 9 times out of 10, even though it's walking, he knows we're coming. Then we see Superman get knocked down, we see a net fall on Batman, and we see that Shazam and Hawkman have caught up to him. So Power Girl wants to talk to Hawkman and Shazam because they're her teammates on the Justice League, but Katana is telling her, hey, look, let Superman and Batman deal with them. We got our own mission we gotta do. So then Superman hits Shazam with his heat vision, but he called him Marvel. So if you're old head like me, you know that Shazam is actually the original Captain Marvel. You also know that DC sued the hell out of Fawcett Comics because Shazam or Captain Marvel was just a magical Superman. But you also know that back in the 1960s, when Stan Lee decided to change the name from Atlas Comics to Marvel Comics, he also created Captain Marvel in 1967. And in 1973, when DC acquired the license to Captain Marvel from Fawcett, that they couldn't use the name Captain Marvel, they used the name Shazam because Marvel pretty much beat him to it. But I guess I was wrong, because this book was made in 2005 and they're clearly using the name Captain Marvel. You know what? Another video for another day. Back to Superman, Batman. So Hawkman is screaming at Batman to stay down, but you know Batman ain't having none of that, and he cuts himself out of the net. So Superman, and I guess I could say Captain Marvel, going at it. Hawkman and Batman are going at it, and it's not going well for Superman and Batman. So Batman goes to Superman and goes S, castle, and Superman goes, good idea. Superman catches Captain Marvel's hand and throws him to Batman, and Batman kind of kicks him. Then you see Superman fly over and swoop up Hawkman, but right before he goes up, he hits Captain Marvel with some heat vision. So if you don't play chess, castle is pretty much when the king and the rook switches places. Superman and Batman is pretty much just switched opponents. So Superman, forever the Boy Scout, is telling Hawkman that before he blacks out, he just wanted to say that this isn't personal. And then Hawkman is putting on this gauntlet, and he's like, hey, you think you two invented castling? And he hits him, and he's like, just to let you know before you black out that this is the claw horse, and it's pretty much channeling the magnetic energy from the earth, so I pretty much hit you with the planet. So then Batman is walking over to this boy because Captain Marvel turned back into Billy Batson, and I guess nobody knows on the Justice League that Captain Marvel is Billy Batson, because Batman is shocked, and if anybody would know, it would be Batman. He's even saying that it's a boy that's no older than Robin, and he leans over and goes, son, if you can hear me, what is your name? And Billy Batson goes, Shazam! And then here comes the lightning. And you guys make up your mind, is it Captain Marvel or is it Shazam? And then on the last page, you see Hawkman standing over Superman, and Shazam or Captain Marvel carrying Batman. So last we left off, it looked like Superman and Batman got handled by Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, and Hawkman. But SCM Nation, real talk, I got a question. Who do you really got in the fight? You got Shazam or you got Superman? Please let me know in the comments. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics, and we're covering the complete Superman and Batman series. Today we're doing Superman Batman number 5. So it starts off at the White House, and all you see is this red blur go crashing into one of the windows. You see the president's security team rush into the scene, and all we see is a white dog, a red cape, and some red glowing eyes. So we have a Crypto appearance, aka Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, aka the most electrifying man in entertainment, literally, because he's Black Adam. So I'm out it up. And on the next page, we have the rest of the Superman family. We have Steel. I don't know what you guys are saying. That's not John Henry Irons. It is not. It's his niece, Natasha Irons. We also have Connor Kent, or Con-El, who is Superboy, which, if you guys are fans of Young Justice or the Titans TV show, you know all about him. And we also have Supergirl. No, that is not Kara Zor-El. This is Sir-El, and she has a complicated history. A little too complicated for me to get into this video, but if you guys want to know more about her, just let me know in the comments. I'll gladly make a YouTube short about it. So then on the next page, we see Huntress taking out a Secret Service agent, and then Robin shows up and asks her how many she's taken out, because he took out 2, and she's like, I didn't know this was a competition. Then all of a sudden you see Robin talking to Batgirl, and she throws up 4, and he's like, wow, Batgirl 4? You go. Now let me give you a breakdown on everybody here. We have Tim Drake, who is the 3rd Robin. He followed Dick Grayson, who became Nightwing, and Jason Todd, who got killed by the Joker. But don't worry, this is comics, so he'll get better. We have Huntress, who is Helena Bertinelli. She is the daughter of Franco Bertinelli, who was an infamous crime boss in Gotham. We have Batgirl. No, this is not Barbara Gordon. This is Cassandra Cain, aka Orphan, who is the daughter of the baddest woman on the planet in DC Comics, Lady Sheba. And we have Nightwing, Dick Grayson, who I already explained. And they are sneaking into the Oval Office where President Luthor is waiting on them. So then we turn to the next page and we have the Super Family, who pretty much taking out everybody there because of the Super Family. And you got Connor looking menacing as hell in the background with those glowing red eyes. So real talk, SCM Nation. If you can be any superhero, who would you be? Batman's my favorite superhero. Love Batman. But man, you almost gotta pick Superman just based off the heat vision. Because people could be talking mess to Superman. Once the eyes start glowing red, you know what time it is. You know it's time to shut up. Because that is the comic book equivalent of somebody holding a you-know-what to your head. I'm not going to say the word because I don't want TikTok or YouTube to put like sensitive content on this video and mess it all up. So back to the comic. All of a sudden you see this thing comes up and it swallows Superboy and Supergirl. You have Steel on the outside. She's trying to hit it, but she's like, I'm not even putting a dent in this thing. And then on the next page, you see Superboy and Supergirl are in like this brown like container now, and all of a sudden all you see is those glowing green lights, so you know they're getting hit with kryptonite. So then on the next page you have Luthor talking to the Bat family, and they're pretty much wanting to know where Superman and Batman's at, and Luthor's like, well, I don't have them. And they're like, you're lying, we want to know where Superman and Batman is. And then Luthor is like, for Batman to be such a lone wolf, it shocks me that he surrounds himself with children. And then Nightwing's like, well, these children can kick your butt from here all the way to China. And then Luthor's like, do you know what the penalty is for breaking into the White House? You know what the penalty is to break in the Oval Office and put your hands on me by Homeland Security Act? And then Huntress goes, you can bleed all over the carpet. And then Luthor is like, I like this carpet. I like the Oval Office. I like it so much that I've been pumping this odorless gas ever since you've been in here. And then Tim Drake's like, odorless? What do you think you are, a Bond? And he just passes out. And then Luthor is like, it's very effective. So on the next page, since they're now all gassed up and not in a good way, he starts tearing into them. He grabs Huntress' staff and knocks out both her and Batgirl. So then Nightwing has enough to throw a punch at Luthor, and Luthor catches it. And then on the next page, Luthor starts beating the bejesus out of him. I mean, beat him down. To Nightwing's credit, he took that beating because he got beat down, got back up, and then Luthor started beating him down again. But on the next page it says elsewhere, and you see this chair sitting in the middle of nowhere, and then you see a flash and you see Captain Atom show up, which he should be dead from the events of what happened in the last episode. Playlists will be in the description. Alas, I said episode like this is a TV show and not a comic book, and this is why you guys don't subscribe to me. Oh well. Go Batman. So Captain Adam's walking up to the chair and hears a voice saying, I failed, Metron. And then we get there and we see it's the old Superman. So he's probably sitting in the Mobius chair. If you want to know who Metron in the Mobius chair is, again, just let me know in the description. The comments. Let me know in the comments. We'll make a YouTube short about it. And if you don't know who this older Superman is, he showed up in Superman Batman #2. Again, playlist will be in the description. So the older Superman is filling in Captain Atom how he's now in the future and how the asteroid hit and pretty much destroyed life on Earth, which I feel like is ironic. A kryptonite asteroid comes to Earth and the only person who survived is the person who would be most affected by it. What sense does that make? So then Captain Atom's pretty much telling them that, you know, the Superman I know would never give up. Aren't you that man? So then on the next page, we see Steel starting to freak out because she can't get Superboy and Supergirl out of the containment unit. And we see the elite guards starting to show back up. And then all of a sudden we see the Shield come out of nowhere. And we see Hawkman with his mace come and he starts smacking around all the guards. So then Steel goes, I'm glad you're here. I've been having issues trying to get this thing open. You can just take your mace and just knock it open. You see Hawkman just drop his mace and he reaches into his pouch and he's trying to do something on the container unit. And Steel's like, what are you waiting on? Just go ahead and hit it with your mace. And then Hawkman goes, I'm not Hawkman. And the container unit opens up. So then on the next page, we see President Luthor standing over the Bat family and he's marveling over his handiwork. And it's ironic I said marvel because all of a sudden you see this red and yellow swoosh come up. President Luthor looks around and he's like, they're all gone. And then you see Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, standing in the president's like balcony doorway. So the Luthor goes, Captain Marvel, what a surprise. You wouldn't have to know where the two fugitives you had in custody are. And then Captain Marvel starts walking up to Luthor and he goes, I'm the president of the United States. You better not lay a hand on me. And all of a sudden Captain Marvel yokes him up and then Luthor goes, wait a minute. "You're not Captain Marvel," and he rips his uniform, and then on the next page you see is Superman. Now, I've been saying since the second issue that Superman has been on one, that Luthor has pissed him off to what I use an analogy in my drill sergeant used to say, to the highest level of pistivity. So those eyes are glowing red, and he's ready to take Luthor out, and Luthor knows what time it is. At first he's trying to talk his way out of it. He's like, hold on, time out, let's talk about this. But then he's like, you know what, go ahead and do it, you're just gonna prove me right. And then Batman's sitting there, he's way out of character. He's like, you know what, we can go ahead and we can make it look like an accident. I'm like, what? So then Luthor goes, you're bluffing, and Batman's like, I'm not. And then Superman goes, is everybody safe? And Batman goes, everybody including the dog, but let's let you know we got word from Japan and the boy wants to talk to us. So then Superman just throws Luthor and they both roll out. So then Luthor is pissed. You see him grab that kryptonite injection thing, injects himself, and then he gets into his classic Luthor power suit. And that's how the comic book ends. We have officially made it to the end of the very first arc of the Superman Batman World Finest series. For all my YouTubers, it is really easy to catch up, especially if you're new here. You just click the link in the playlist in the description, you'll get all caught up. For all my TikTokers, it'll be a little bit harder for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very brief recap. There is a huge asteroid made of kryptonite that's headed towards Earth. Luthor is president of the United States, and he is blaming Superman for this asteroid, even though this is the one thing that can weaken the man. So why would he send it to Earth if it can possibly kill him? Makes no sense. The whole DC universe is after Superman Batman because President Luthor put $1 billion bounty on Superman's head. President Luthor has also been injecting himself with kryptonite, so he is not all there. And just like Drake, he's like his girl's BBW because he's been trying to get with Amanda Waller. While Superman and Batman's been fighting the DC universe, has also been devising a plan. They've gone to this kid who is considered to be the new Toy Man to come with a contingency plan to deal with the asteroid. And now let's get into Superman Batman number 6. So the comic book opens up with Hiro Okamura, hope I pronounced that right, showing Superman and Batman his invention to destroy the asteroid. And you can tell by the looks on her face, they can't believe what they're looking at. And then when you turn the next page, you see he built a huge Superman/Batman Gundam. And Superman's like, you sure this is going to work? And Hero goes, does Power Girl have big? And Batman's like, well then let's get going then. So then they start talking about Metallo because Hero said that the Gundam's made out of Metallo, and obviously this whole thing started with Metallo. And Hero's like, well, even if I knew where it was at, I wouldn't tell you guys in the first place. His body is made out of the substance that my grandfather created, and I want that back. But then we see Superman starting to get loopy because the closer the asteroid's getting to Earth, the more it's starting to affect him. So then out of nowhere, there's this big boom, which was a boom tube. And then out of nowhere, Captain Atom comes out and it's like, Superman, I'm letting you know now, you can't pilot that ship. I need to pilot that ship. Superman's like, no, that's not going to happen. He starts to go after him, and Captain Atom busts out a kryptonite ring and weakens Superman. So Superman is effectively knocked out. Captain Atom starts to talk to Batman. And for all you new people, I'm going to try to make all this make sense. So Superman and Batman fought this futuristic Superman, and he almost took both of them out. The only reason why he didn't is because his stability in the timeline got affected, and he got sent back to his future before he could finish the job. Captain Atom and Major Force are walking, talking nuclear reactors, and Major Force got damaged to the point to where he was about to go critical. And Captain Atom stepped in and absorbed all the energy that Major Force was giving off, which effectively looked like it killed Captain Atom, but really it sent him to the future. He met with this futuristic Superman, and the futuristic Superman let him know that this plan wasn't going to work, because I'm guessing the closer that Superman got to the asteroid, the weaker he got. So he wasn't able to destroy it, and the asteroid winds up destroying the planet, and then he effectively was the only person left. So now Captain Atom is convincing Batman that he needs to be the one to go up there to take out the asteroid, which Batman agrees. So while all that's going on, like I said before, President Luthor is tweaking and he has on his kryptonite power suit looking for Superman at the Daily Planet. And then Superman comes out of nowhere and punches Lex Luthor, and he's like, ain't nothing but space and opportunity, and all the space is gone. I've been wanting to whoop yo for 6 issues now, so he is on it. So while Luthor and Superman are fighting, Captain Atom is in the Superman Batman Gundam headed straight towards the asteroid. And it pretty much cuts back and forth between Superman fighting Lex Luthor and Captain Atom headed towards the asteroid. And Captain Atom is just saying how he wants to represent the United States and be a hero, but he wants to be a hero like his hero, which is Superman. Now Luthor is landing some good hits and he's giving Superman the business because he's obviously using kryptonite, but it's not enough. Superman is pissed off to the highest level of pissivity and he starts giving it to Lex Luthor. And at the same time, Captain Atom is headed straight to the asteroid and he's about to give the asteroid a punch. His punch lands the same time that Superman's punch lands on Lex Luthor and breaks Luthor's suit. And the asteroid is effectively destroyed, but also Captain Atom is effectively destroyed too. So Superman punched Luthor so hard that he lands in his old LexCorp office. And who's waiting for him? Well, it's a friendly neighborhood Batman. It's supposed to be Spider-Man, but you know what I mean. So these kryptonite injections have been making Luthor's strength increase greatly. And he wasn't enough for Superman, but he feels like he's more than enough for Batman. So he tries Batman, and Batman starts putting them paws on him, and it's just too much for Luthor. So I guess he had a knife in his power suit, and he effectively stabs Batman. So this is Batman. This ain't the first time he's been stabbed. This ain't the last time he's going to be stabbed. He's barely affected by it, and he was able to kick Luthor out the window. He goes over and he tries to save Luthor because he's hanging on with one hand. And he's like, look, I can save your life. You still go to jail, but I can save your life. Luthor was like, I'd rather see you in hell first. And he just lets go. So then there's this big boom and the building's starting to come down around Batman. So, you know, Superman ain't going to let his BFF die in the building like that. And he comes and saves him. So then Lois points out how all these little meteorites are starting to fall from the sky, which shows that Captain Atom did his job and he was able to destroy the asteroid. And then they got Superman looking like a beast, and he's saying how he pretty much looked through 40 stories and he couldn't find any hide nor hair of President Luthor. And the reason why he had to physically look through all the wreckage is because he couldn't use his x-ray vision, because Luthor is paranoid and the majority of the building is made of lead. Next page, you see all the press clippings from the Daily Planet, how they say Superman is cleared of all charges and how Luthor is about to be indicted, but he is presumed dead, and how the vice president is about to take over, who is Pete Ross, and how he's going to start running the country now. But then on the last page, you see deep down in the sewer that President Luthor did survive, and he's still tweaking off that kryptonite. And I don't mean to drink. So now that this arc is over, please let me know in the comments, how did you like it? Do you feel like it's better than the movie, or do you prefer the movie over this? Please let me know in the comments. Me personally, I watched the movie first and I read this, and I prefer the comic book over the movie. But that's just me. I want to know your opinion. And to me, I feel like each arc gets better and better. Now, there's going to be some stale arcs out there. I'm not saying they're all just bangers out there, but the next arc I feel like is really good and is better than this one, and I really like this one. So in saying that, if you are new here to SEM, please hit that subscribe button, become part of this SEM Nation. Just become part of this nation, that bell notification, you know when a video comes out. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Dorian. This is SEN Comics. Thank you guys for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it, and you guys have a good day.